Arr, 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 arr. Hello, me mateys, and welcome to this video. Pirates and the pirate setting. Arr. Well, that's certainly what we expect from pirates, isn't it? Hello, my name is Guy, and this is How to Be a Great GM. Today we're looking at the pirate setting, and what a setting it is, and how it's changed in the last decade or so, as that wonderful series of movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, has swept across the cultural database of humanity and changed forever how we see pirates. Well, it's certainly given us plenty of ammunition to use in our own games and has made them much, much more accessible than ever before in terms of pirates and what we can expect from the pirates. So, when we take a pirate setting, we have to list what do we expect. And it is a lengthy list. When I was writing down what does one expect from the setting, unlike other settings where there's one or two things, with pirates it's just epic. We expect treasure, ships, cannons, forts, empires at war, secret coves, pirate towns, normal ports, maps, sailing ships, exotic islands, undead, mermaids, whales, curses, witches, strange sea events, kraken, parrots that talk, a manner of speech, a cat o' nine tails, and nautical terms like mizzenmast and split my beams and walk the plank. We expect a lot from our pirate games, which is rather unusual considering that the idea really of a pirate game is a bunch of people on a boat sailing around having adventures, which if you replaced boat with horses, it's pretty much the same thing as normal, except for all the flavour that comes with it. So we expect all that kind of stuff, treasure, ships, empires at war, the British trying to hunt down the pirates, the French trying to hunt down the British, the Spanish stealing everything. We expect all those kinds of things because when we are thinking of traditional Caribbean, however you want to pronounce it, pirates, that is what we expect. Blackbeard and Black Alice and all those wonderful, wonderful and terrifying Bonnie Ann pirates, all those individuals we think of with this rather romantic whimsy about a bunch of men on a boat who barely have an orange between them. So the idea then is to take what we expect and of course to twist it and turn it into your own space. And there is an interesting thing that you can add to it to make it even more so. And even Pirates of the Caribbean, they hinted at it, but they didn't really use it very far, at least in my opinion. So the types of plots that you can have from a pirate setting is, of course, find the treasure, a ship race, racing against time to get to a point, steal items from a ship or from a fort or from a town, capture towns, escape from ships or forts or towns, sink ships, destroy forts or towns, get marooned on islands and wait for sea turtles to come and rescue you. So there's lots and lots of different types of plots, but principally, you have to center it around a ship. Now, this brings in its own little challenge, and it's something that you're going to have to think about, and it is something that I have been thinking about quite a lot, and I've been working with a friend, as a matter of fact, to try and come up with a really plausible and easy-to-use system of naval combat. Now, there have been quite a few options that have been presented, but in my opinion, none of them have been really flowy, very simple-like, and even in my own game, The Adventures of the Windswift, which is technically a pirate setting if you like, it's a bunch of people on a boat, keeping them on that boat is kind of tricky, and then keeping the boat adventures interesting more so. So frequently, as a matter of fact almost all the time, the characters are on the boat, they have a punctuated experience where they have an encounter or a combat or a mystery, and then they're off the boat for more regular adventures. And even if you look at the types of plots that we're thinking of, finding treasure. Very few ships involved in you sail from point A to point B, but once you're on the island or wherever it is, that's where you are. A ship race, sure, now that does involve the ships. Stealing items, not very ship-like. Capturing towns, not very ship-like. Escaping from other ships, sure, it's on a ship, but does it matter that it's a ship, not a prison? Not really. Marooned on an island, well, by that very nature, it doesn't involve ships. But your characters need to have a ship to call their own. Now, you can start them off, obviously, as lackeys on board another vessel, and they slowly work their way up to getting their own. Now, there's a big risk that you run. Once they have their own, they can start to trade, which starts to turn your campaign from pirates to, Wall Street or Settlers of Catan, where they sail from port to port, making a slight profit on the grain that they purchase here and they sell it over there. And all that you've become is basically a barometer, so you can work out what the weather's doing as to whether it's going to affect their ship or not. So, bear that in mind. Your characters need a ship, the ship needs to have statistics, and you need to have a nice, neat form of naval combat. Now, again, there are systems out there, 7th Sea comes to mind, where there has been some very big consideration as to the ships and the ship combat. I hate miniatures and in a role-playing game. I love miniature combat and miniature combat type systems, and I love role-playing, but I don't like them combined together. So the idea of having the model ship and the other model ship, and you count the grids and how far can they move and all that kinds of stuff, that just irks me at a fundamental level. Because now we're no longer role-playing, now we're playing tactical ship maneuvering games, which I don't like. It takes you away from the role-playing. So I'm still, like I said, with a friend, we're trying to write up a system that we think will work best. Now, to talk about pirate settings, by the way, I still have a book locked away in a chest buried somewhere in South Africa, har har, where in my grade 9 year, a friend and I wrote a pirate module, a pirate setting thing for 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons. So that would have been 1995. And we worked out the sloops and first-rate, second-rate, third-rate ships and barks and how far could they sail, and we had cannons. And of course, 2nd edition was a very math-heavy kind of system to begin with, so there was percentile chance of hitting, and it was a wonderfully, wonderfully complicated system. Unfortunately, our note-keeping was not so good, so we've got this book full of pages of stats and numbers and things. We haven't got the foggiest today how they actually work. So, anyway, I deviate. The pirate setting, you're going to need to find some kind of ship combat simulator system that you are comfortable with and that you are happy with. And that works for you and for your group. You need to obviously keep track of the ship's hit points, cargo, weights, all those kinds of things. And you can go into as much minutiae as you like. You also should watch the video on weather, which is coming out, or has come out already. I'm not sure, it's for your consideration video, where you look at the effects of weather, especially on sailing ships and that kind of thing, because of course that will make a big impact. Now, with references, we look no further than Pirates of the Caribbean. You can go back into the 1930s with Errol Flynn, where you've got things like Captain Blood, which was a fantastic pirate type of movie. It really showed you the idea of good people becoming pirates. You've got Treasure Island, that great classic, and then of course, and this is what I particularly like, you've got Treasure Planet, which is Disney's retelling of the entire tale but in space. And that's what I wanted to talk about to finish off this video, is our other sources of pirates, because there are pirates all over the place. Wherever there is the opportunity to rob somebody, someone else is there waiting to do it. Specifically, of course, we have the pirates of the Chinese Sea. All of those wonderful pirates sailing around in those big, large junks, hijacking one another, engaging in shenanigans with ninjas at sea, basically. It's a lovely, lovely option and a lovely idea. And like I said, Pirates of the Caribbean kind of hinted at it with Chow Yun-Fat's character, but didn't really explore it too far, didn't push it too far. There you've got some wonderful Chinese opportunities, sort of Asian influence, if you like, in terms of really spicing up things in a different way. Lots of gunpowder and roaring dragon cannons and the like. You've got the Mediterranean pirates. Their slogan I worked out was Veni Vidi Fishy. No, maybe not. Anyway, so the Mediterranean pirates, and these pirates have been in existence since the Egyptian times. The Romans had big problems with them. The pirates betrayed Spartacus at the last moment, the Roman legions, causing Spartacus to finally be captured after his great tirade across northern Italy. So the idea is that you've got these Mediterranean pirates. They are pretty much like Caribbean pirates, but with less R-ing and more sea-seeing. West African pirates are today in issue. A friend of mine is a sea captain, and when he was sailing the west coast of Africa, they had to keep alert and watch out for these little rubber dinghies. Not great big sailing ships, but rubber dinghies that would come out from the coast all the way out into the great big ocean and hijack the ships and literally take whatever was on board, put them back onto their dinghies and disappear off again. They were, of course, using machetes and AK-47s. They weren't using muskets and cutlasses. But the idea is the same. And that's a very different type of pirate space. There's no romanticizing that. That is pure cold-blooded thievery on the high seas. Now, you can shift this all into space absolutely easily. And almost space itself has this sense of you're all on spaceships. You've got this idea of the great big unknown, and you've got these atolls or nebula that pirates can lurk in and come in and attack from and disappear out to, and all those kinds of wonderful opportunities. So the pirate setting really extends to different genres as well, quite easily. How you express it, of course, needs to be tweaked just a little bit. It is an interesting setting, and once you add in things like mermaids and undead and kraken and witches and siren song and those kinds of more interesting factors, the games start to become a little bit more opportunistic in terms of the stories that you can tell. Generally speaking, though, if you're going to stick to specifically just the pirate setting, you might find after a while that it's pretty much the same thing. Find a ship, hijack the ship, take the stuff on the ship away, go spend it, get drunk, and then go back and find another ship. So it can become a little bit routine if you don't chop and change it up with some other bits and pieces. Now, there's another video that I've released on For Your Consideration called the Heist video. Again, that's applicable to pirates, and you can bring it into your pirate campaign quite easily to make that campaign feel more and more and more grand and not just so hyper-focused on the pirate setting. I hope this video has been useful, or at least has certainly inspired you to perhaps go and run a pirate type game. You don't have to R it throughout everything, and that is obviously just pushing the memes to their absolute extreme, and players do sometimes enjoy it, but it can get a bit much after a while. So let me know in the comments below whether this has inspired you on pirates. Maybe it didn't push it far enough. Maybe you wanted to know more about pirates. There's a whole lot more that one can go into in terms of the hierarchies within the pirates and the reason why they became pirates in the first place and what they did with their treasures and those kinds of things, as well as things like the fur trapping, food gathering missions that pirates often would have to go on, the less glamorous kinds of stuff that one could explore. But no, maybe that's not for a particular video. Maybe it's just something to think about. Anyway, I hope you do think about pirates. I certainly hope that you've got enough rum to keep your players happy, to make sure that those games are memorable. Until next time, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.